Hello and welcome back to the Villa podcast. I'm here as always, my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, it's the nature of the transfer rumour season. It's the nature of trying to fit things in around our busy schedules. We're here on our lunch breaks, Dan. Literally a day after, the last transfer rumour, 2 days maybe, with another one. The news broke last night. Ashley Young, Dan, to Aston Villa. Now, this is it's exciting. It's also so many things, Dan. But first of all, before we get into all of that, how are you doing, mate?
Mate, I'm good. It's crazy at the moment, non-stop, isn't it? We've got, we're both working. You're holding down 2 jobs at the moment. There's the Euros going on, the transfers are going on, the fixtures are coming out today. It is an absolute, having to try and sift through all this stuff and pick out the little gems to bring out to you guys is it's testing to try and find the time for it, isn't it? But mate, as soon as I saw this rumor, I was like, clear the schedule. I'm not even going to eat on my lunch break. I don't need food. This is all I'm eating today. This Ashley Young rumor is filling me up, man. I was watching some stuff this morning, just some videos, and I'm so on board. Just for the vibes, man. It's not often we get involved in these sort of romantic transfers, but this is romance induced to the max, mate. I'm so all over this.
I feel like it's one of them ones, isn't it? Ashley, I think, but Ashley Young is probably the player of our childhood, Stan. He's that player. He's the flair player. Of course, there's the Martin O'Neill article where he's saying that he said in an interview that he's better than Ronaldo and Messi. He's on that level. And do you know what? I think people don't respect Ashley Young as much as they should. No, I'm not talking Villa fans. I'm just talking football fans in general, man. Because like that sort of last season at Villa and his time at United, he genuinely was a world-class winger. And people won't admit that because like a bird like shut in his mouth and he played for United and all this kind of stuff. But Ashley Young to Villa, I find it really interesting that there are probably 2 sides. Well, there are 2 sides you can see this as. Probably the younger fans like yourself and I, Dan, absolutely gassed about this. It's the romance of it. Ashley Young, as I say, player of our childhood. What a winger he was. But then there's the sort of maybe slightly more pessimistic side. He's 35 years old, free transfer, high wages. Isn't necessarily going to work out. He's not really going to play. What will he offer? And to be honest, Dan, losing Heaton, losing El Mohammadi, losing Neil Taylor, that's a massive core of the dressing room that, we know they've contributed to the sort of mentality of the football club and, having such high standards of professionalism, just how they are, just the characters they are, having them about and having someone like Ashley Young who's been there and done it, not only just at Villa, but with United, he's won countless trophies. He's had his time out in Inter Milan. He's won the Scudetto this year, which is, crazy in itself that a team other than Juventus actually managed to win the league. It almost seems too good to be true, Dan, because we've kind of got ourselves in this situation where we need a left back. And do you either go for, a left back that has, potentially a higher ceiling than Matt Targett? Well, how is that going to work, in terms of splitting game time? You're going to need someone who's going to be happy to play that sort of deputy role. And, given his age, given the sort of intensity that I think the Premier League is now played at, which is certainly a bit ahead of that of Ashley's ability probably now, I think is fair to say, Dan. I think it just kind of works for all parties, this, doesn't it, really?
I honestly, mate, it seems to be the perfect transfer. I can't see very many holes in this. You're absolutely right in that I think he would be happy to accept a reduced role. I think realistically, for his body, he would need a reduced role at this point in his career. I mean, 35, 36, he can't be going and playing, 38, 40 games a season. He does need to be able to step in and out. And I think what he would bring to both flanks, which is important, he offers cover on both sides, which if you've got, Gilbert coming off loan or Kane Kessler to play on that right-hand side, then he can mostly cover the left, but he can flip to both sides. And what he would bring, not only to Matt and Matty, but also to those lads like, Kessler that are looking to break into the first team, the wisdom that he can offer those guys, it would be endless and so beneficial for their careers. And all I have to say on this transfer, mate, is that if he plays left back, Ashley Young will be overlapping Jack Grealish. If you don't want that transfer to happen, just imagine that, Villa fans. Ashley Young overlapping Jack. Are you kidding me? It's like a Villa fan's wet dream. Like it's like I'm just on that basis. But you're right in saying that perhaps I think his achievements in his career have gone a little bit under the radar. Like, even if you run back to his time at Villa between that period of about 2007 to about 2009, which is which you're talking about, Dan, is the era where he was the sort of prodigal son of our childhoods. He won the
PFA
Premier
Young
League.
Player.
Yeah, well, he was PFA Young Player of the Year in 2009. So, I mean, there's a reason why. In that same season, he won the Premier League Player of the Month award 3 times in a calendar year, and remains the only player in Premier League history to have ever done that. In that season, 3 other players won the Premier League Player of the Month award twice, and they were Wayne Rooney, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Steven Gerrard. So,
Wow.
I mean, these are the levels that he was hitting at his time. He's then left Villa to go to Manchester United, played over 200 games with Man United. He's just gone and won a Scudetto with Inter Milan. He's got almost 40 England caps. I mean, man, the reasons just keep leveling up as to why this is a great transfer. I mean, he's only the 3rd ever Englishman to win the league title in this, after Jimmy Greaves and Jerry Hitchens. This guy is like always appearing in some pretty esteemed record collections, man. And to have that experience back at Villa Park at the moment, where he's happy to sit in behind these younger lads, offer them the advanced roles, and sort of just guide them through the early stages of their career. There are not many transfers I'd describe as a no-brainer, mate. But if you have the opportunity to make this happen, you have to go for it, I think.
100%, man. And, especially with it being a free, because, you talk about high wages, but that kind of negates out when you're not paying anything for him. I can't see him coming in and being on any more than 100 grand. I think that would be, totally ridiculous. You're probably looking at maybe the 80 grand mark a week max, which again still is a lot of money. But as we've been able to see with the Buendia signing, just with how Villa are able to sort of flex their financial muscles, this is a drop in the water. A 1 or 2 year contract, have Ashley Young here at the club, as you say, would offer so much experience. And, listen, he played 34 times for Inter Milan in all competitions last season. Dan got a goal, got 4 assists. Those goal contributions came in the Serie A, not in any of the cup competitions. But, I think I'm just so romantically involved in this. We try not to be, Dan. We try to keep our heads cool. We try to think about this. But, I mean, we missed out on getting Gareth Barry in. We've not got James Milner in, which, would have been a nice one. I think he's kind of proven that he's still capable of playing at a very high level, if not, the highest level. Not as frequent as he used to do, but, he's certainly doing the most for Liverpool. It's interesting. And I think, you kind of look at that system that Inter Milan play, that 3-4-3, the absolute staple of Antonio Conte. Of course, he's not the manager now. He has left at the end of the season. You did see Young play on that left-hand side, where, he's not. It's essentially a fullback's role, really. When you play a 3-4-3, you defend when you're in a defensive phase. You come forward and contribute to the attacks as well. So, I'd say the legs probably are there for it, Dan. It's something that's really exciting. And you just got to look at he's got an 80% pass completion rate. He's playing. He's receiving 3.3 for progressive passes per 90. So that shows defenders are looking up, midfielders are looking up, looking to play the ball to him. He's still going to be that kind of outlet as he was for Inter last season. He's proven that, and he's one of them players that is. It's just got to happen, man. I just really, really want to see it happen. And yeah, no brainer for me. I think it would be wonderful to see Ashley Young come to the club. But you guys will have to let us know your thoughts on this in the comments. I know it's got people fairly split, and I can understand why. But I think it doesn't necessarily fit the recruitment strategy that we're clearly going for. But I don't think you can pass upon a gem, with this much experience for free. Especially when we're losing 3 of our really important pillars in that dressing room. And finally, Dan, before we do end this, obviously today, happy fixture day. It's released at 9 o'clock. Obviously, looking at these fixtures overall, they're a lot kinder to us than they were last season, Dan. We don't have as many games against the sort of the big 6 clumped up all together. It's a nice even spread. Watford away first, Dan, with Newcastle and Brentford at home following after in August, them 3 games, they're looking really winnable, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a really sort of I think we can ease ourselves quite nicely into the season based on how you look at the fixtures. We start with Watford and before we have 2 home games against Newcastle and Brentford. So I mean, feasibly you can win. We started last season so positively, and you look at those 3 games, and it's like 3 good performances. You can easily have 9 points on the board there out of your first 3, and then September gets a little bit harder. Chelsea, Everton, and United, and then we get underway as to the season. I mean, let's just hope we don't go into the final day desperately needing a win or anything like that, because it is a trip to the Etihad on that final day of the season. But overall, I think it follows a quite a nice pattern. I always like playing at home on Boxing Day. I love the
Yeah.
Boxing Day fixture. That's always a big deal for me. And yet again, we're at home this year. It's against Chelsea, which would be really interesting. So obviously we beat them at home not too long ago. So that would be a really interesting game. I always look forward to those. It follows, Watford will be. I never like particularly going to newly promoted sides on the first day. I always feel like it's a difficult test, no matter who you're going up against, because especially when they're out in front of their own fans, there's such an onus on them to go and prove like they belong. They always play with a real point to prove. I think if you look back through recent seasons and the first games, I remember Leeds at Anfield and stuff like that, whereby they really go out to prove a point, and they often do, but. It's a game to look forward to, mate. I mean, especially if we do have Young by then. I mean, what a homecoming that would be. Playing for Villa at home to Watford would be some crazy symmetry for him. But no, I think overall it does look a lot kinder than last year. As I said, let's just hope we have it all done and said and done by the last game of the season, because we don't want to be involved in that coronation game again for Manchester City.
No, of course not. I mean, I wonder if they'll be giving us a guard of honour, Dan. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Winning the league in Manchester. You never know, man. You never know with this. But, we've got this sort of announcement out of the way now. Only thing we're really waiting on, Dan, is the kits, which eagerly, it's always a good time of year. It's always a good time of year. Squad numbers, kits, that's when you can really get excited. I'm hoping Kappa have got something good up their sleeve. We've, of course, still got the partnership with Kazoo. Which is great. I love having Kazoo on the front of the shirts. I think it's a great sponsor. I just love that it's not a gambling sponsor. I say this with wearing a 33 red shirt. But
it's the Ashley Young vibes, mate.
Exactly. That's what we're going for. We're going for Ashley, man. That's the thing. But no, there's. I think, to be fair, the kits from last season were they were solid. They were safe. I'd like to see Kappa do something a bit more out there. When you look at some of the Napoli kits. Of recent years, some of them have been questionable, to say the least. But I'd like to see a fairly out there third kit. I mean, the third kit from last season was fantastic. I really like that. It was an excuse for them to use their camo template for sure, Kappa. But we'll take that. We'll take that. I want to see something nice. There's been a few good concepts going about Twitter, hasn't there, Dan, with sort of collars and sort of the Kappa on the shoulders. I'm all over that, man. I think that's great. I think it'd be great. I mean, you guys know we love kits on this channel, don't we, Dan?
Oh, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I think this is our final year with Kappa, if I remember correctly. Yeah. I think it was only a 3-year deal, and so this will be the final year with Kappa. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at the end of the year. So yeah, let's hope they go out with a bang. But Villa, we always seem to be late to that party, don't we, with the kits?
Yeah, so
like we've always in recent years we've been unveiling kits like into the season. Like we've been 2 or 3 games and we drop a third kit and then we wear it in the next game. We always seem to be quite late to that party. But who knows this year, mate? We're getting our transfer business done early, so maybe the kits will follow. I'd like that. I mean, we've never been that. You see clubs playing in new kits for the last 2 games of the previous season. So it's like Villa releasing theirs in like August. Just from a commercial point of view, it doesn't really make sense to me, because you have the whole summer for fans to buy the kit. But that's the way Villa seem to do it. But this year, mate, let's hope we get it a little bit earlier, because it's always an exciting day, isn't it? You're absolutely right.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm glad we're not one of them clubs that wear them on the last day. That's a pet peeve for me, man. You see them wear it. It's confusing as well. And then when the season comes around, it's like you've already seen it. It's not special. I
the best thing about his first day of the season, match of the day, sun-soaked pitches, new transfers, new clubs, all the new kits on display. That's what I live for. So yeah, you're absolutely right on that one, mate. I think dropping it and wearing it for real in the first game of a new season. No school like the old school, is there, Sam?
You know it, man. You know it. That's a good note to end this podcast on. Let us know your thoughts on the fixtures in the comments down below. And of course, the potential signing of Ashley Young. As you can tell, we're a little bit excited to say the least. So we'd love to know your thoughts on that as well. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe for more. Up the villa.